Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is the Gamers Initiative podcast you are listening to right now, and I welcome you all back. Here with me and my friend Red Dead Panda. Hello Red Dead Panda, how are you doing and what have you been up to?
Hi Elite Gaming Guru, thank you for the introduction. I am very well. What have I been up to? The past week I've played some video games.
Yeah.
That's about. I'm still playing Diablo 3 Season 23. Actually got back into playing a little bit of Forza Horizon 4.
Yeah.
I love that game.
Yeah, I've seen you playing that, yeah.
I haven't really. I decided, against my better judgment, to have a look at Hellblade again because there were 3 things I was missing to get the last achievement, and then I realized I'd have to play a full playthrough to get the final achievement, and I was like, oh, still struggling whether or not I do it, because I really just want to play Hellblade 2, guys. But I've decided that with this playthrough, because I'm gonna see if I will make it through. I might just break it up over the next few months. 60 FPS, because I realized after being on the Series X, I can't play games in 30 frames anymore, 30 FPS anymore. If they don't give me a 60 FPS mode, I go on strike virtually. It's awful.
You best not buy a PS5 then.
I'm happy to forgo the visual niceties to get smooth, consistent frame rates. And I didn't think I would ever be that person, but apparently I am now. Once you go 60, you can't go back. But yeah, that's me. That's my week, just playing the odd bit of video games, dipping my toes into different things. I haven't got around to playing Octopath Traveler yet, but I did download it, so I've really got to try that because apparently that's really good. What have you been up to this week?
I think I might download It Takes Two. Maybe we should give It Takes Two a go.
Is it on Game Pass?
Yes, I believe it is. Isn't it?
Oh, if it's on Game Pass, yes, we'll definitely download it, give it a go.
I'm sure I see it advertised today on Game Pass. I'll never look. I'm probably sure it is. I don't know. Maybe it's not. We'll see. If it is, then
I don't think
we'll
it
play
is.
for it and we'll put some gameplay
It would be nice if it is, but I'm not 100% sure that it is. But yeah, might have to give it a go. But yeah, how's your week been? What have you been up to?
So I've been playing, working and playing Outriders. Is it Outriders? It's called Outriders, isn't it?
Yes. Outriders, yeah.
Yeah, I've been playing Outriders actually. I'm just going to adjust my mic, sorry. Yeah, I'm really enjoying the game. I really like it. I'm playing that as I told you. I think I'm level 10 now, level 11, and I'm playing that sort of tank class, and he's really good. Game's getting hard.
Yeah, you and I need to play.
Harder and harder, and I'm on world tier level 5 or 6, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it starts to get hard, but yeah, it's good though. It's because I like to run and gun. I like to just power through things. I don't know if you see my last podcast, and I had a clip. I just like to run at everything, just obliterate, and just shock everything. I like to run into combat before anything even gets any chance to react to me. Just run through, and that's what I generally do in these FPS games. So
yeah.
Some people like to sort of stealth it, and they will be more cautious. I don't. I just go straight into the centre of everything and just cause havoc.
Well, the next time we play, you'll have to carry me because I haven't been playing it.
Oh, what level are you?
4 or 5, maybe. Fraud. I want to say 5, but I think I'm more likely level 4.
Fraud. It is good. I'm really enjoying it.
I have not been playing that game.
It is good. It does remind me a sort of a bit like Destiny 2, but sort of more like the Division as well.
So, yeah, I get that. I definitely get that Division vibe. Now.
Yeah, it is good.
I like the games, but I also like the fact you can play with other people, and I like that fact because I like just being cheeky to the people I play with. Like my sister and I started playing Destiny 2 again, and I was being quite cheeky back with her about how I was carrying her through the game, and then she was joking how she was carrying me through the game, and none of us were carrying each other. We both love that game. But yeah, I like that back and forth banter.
And a lot of people have been saying about there's been issues now with it. I've had no issues with it, and I'm still playing on the Xbox X, and I've had no problems or issues with it.
What about the servers?
Is it just? That's what I thought it was just the servers, because people saying the game. That's what you hear from everyone these days, isn't it? The game's broke, it doesn't work. because they hear a little bit of negative news about something, they just assume the game's unplayable. But the game's completely playable, and I thought it must be the servers.
We now have a new metric for a game is broken, guys, and this is
Yeah.
a sad thing to say that. The people who brought us The Witcher 3 gave us a new metric for a game being totally freaking broken.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk release day.
Yeah. Even though I played Cyberpunk, and I did when people were saying that was broken and unplayable,
freaking
I
love
didn't
that
think it
game.
was. I was playing for it fine. I didn't. There was obviously glitches in it, which I showed in the video I did, and little issues and things
Oh,
like
it
that.
was
But the game
buggy
wasn't.
as hell.
But the game wasn't unplayable by. My throat's going. The game wasn't unplayable by any means. It wasn't broken by any means in that sense. It just annoys me that it's the sort of go-to. Game's unplayable, and it's usually Sony fanboys because they always compare any game to their games, don't they? Even though their games do have issues and glitches. I mean, you could just look at YouTube and the amount of issues with Spider-Man and God of War. But yeah, I'm waffling on now, and it's your
we're trying to keep the waffling down to a minimum today, guys. Trying.
Get into a rant.
We'll try and rein each other in, Elite.
Let's
but
get
where
straight
can we
into
find
topics.
you other than in
you
the
find
UK?
Me here. Find me here. I'm still thinking about getting the Twitter account, but otherwise you can find me here on YouTube days. If you didn't get where he was.
Elite Gaming Guru.
Where can we find you? Other than Australia.
Say Australia. I will come to the UK and beat you with the New Zealand flag.
You're not Australian?
No, I joke.
Yeah.
No, in New Zealand, you can find me in the southern hemisphere, in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by a giant moat, which is the ocean. So I'm well protected from the pandemic. No, I'm kidding. You can find me on Twitter at RedDeadPanda1, and that is the number 1. And you can also find me on YouTube at RedDeadPanda Gaming. And I should have my video going up tonight, or if not tomorrow night. My next new video jumping onto my channel there. And yeah, that's where you can find me, guys.
Right.
Starting our topic.
Let's get topics. So should we start on the first topic, which is just all the topics we've got are sort of more or less sort of merge into one. But our first topic is the delayed Deathloop game. So if anyone doesn't know, Deathloop for the PlayStation 5 has been delayed in a recent report, and it's made by who's it made by? Red Dead, isn't it? It's made by
Arcane Studios. Is it Arcane?
Yeah.
Oh my god, why can't I think of who it's made by?
It's not Machine
Is it
Games.
Arcane?
I can't remember.
No. I
Anyway,
don't think
it's under the ZeniMax umbrella, isn't it?
Arcane. I was right, guys. I was right.
There you go. And it's under the ZeniMax umbrella. So it's quite funny for why it's been delayed, because I wonder if Xbox go to them and go, hey Sony, you know that game you really need right now because you've got nothing? Yeah, we're delaying it. I don't know how that went down to the Sony bench. But yeah, so the game's been delayed.
Before we get fully into this topic anyway, all these topics, I know this is going to be heavily focused on things that PlayStation are not doing, and it is more along the lines of there is news coming out about PlayStation at the moment.
Yeah. I
mean, it's not the most flattering and insightful news, but we're just talking about it anyway and giving you guys our opinion.
Yeah.
There isn't a lot of news coming out about Xbox at the moment because they've been dominating headlines in a very positive manner over the last few months, and that's going to continue moving forward. But there's just a lot of news this week that are focused on Sony, so it's going to be a bit of a Sony focused podcast for today's episode.
Yeah, well said, Red. Because as always, we're only here giving the news as we see it. So we're just reading off news, and if it's one day it's more PlayStation sort of centric news, then that's because there's more PlayStation news out. And especially if it's going to be negative stuff or sort of stuff that puts it bad light, we're not going to sugarcoat it. So we're just giving you the news as it is, and that's how it is. And if it does all come across negative, then that's Sony's fault really for releasing lots of negative news. Really, and Xbox is a bit quiet at the moment because they've got nothing to say because they don't need to say anything because Sony's doing all the talking.
They're doing it with Game Pass.
Yeah, Game Pass.
Dropping the games everywhere.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, you were talking about Deathloop delayed. This was announced, and there was a post on Twitter about it as well.
Yeah.
So, what do you want to say about that?
Well, firstly, reading the report on this, I've noticed something interesting now they've added to it. Deathloop delayed to September. Right, so it's firstly delayed to September. It also has now the PS5 timed exclusive has been delayed yet again. I've noticed they've put in timed exclusive now, because it used to just say PS5 exclusive. Now it's got timed. So I've
Timed for a year.
Yes, I feel they've finally recognised that it will be going to Xbox now, and it's not permanent, because it did used to say just PS5 exclusive.
What do you think the reason for the delay is?
Well, I'm just reading it back. In a message on Twitter,
I know what they say it is.
Yeah, Deathloop creative director.
Oh, do you want to read the quote out?
Yeah, at Arcane we have a strong vision. Oh, they got there. At Arcane we have a strong vision for Deathloop, and we don't want to compromise on that. But we also need to do everything we can to ensure the health and safety of everyone in the studio. So they put it down to COVID, I guess.
The pandemic.
Yeah. So.
And I think that we're going to see a massive trend, and that was discussed last year anyway.
Yeah.
When everyone started to realise the ramifications of this working from home environment and the pandemic. This is not the only game that's going to be delayed for the same reason. No. I'm a bit surprised because of how far into development Deathloop is that it is being delayed due to the pandemic.
I do feel like the pandemic is being used by a lot of devs now, on both sides, Xbox and Sony, to PlayStation, to just delay games or just to, you know what I mean? I think, I mean, we've had this pandemic around now for a year, and I don't know about you, but it's not affected my work whatsoever. Everyone I know has not affected their work. I see people in the streets, people just out and about. Sure, there is lockdowns and sure there is restrictions on things, but I don't think it's to the extreme where, cause, I mean, a lot of these devs can work from home or can just work as what I do. You just work at space, you just keep sort of protected, and you have to do checks and things on yourself every morning when I get in. I have to do temperature checks and things like that we have to do and sign a thingy. I just don't think, like, the COVID thing keeps coming up for delays, and I'm not sure if it's...
I think it's affected the way that the last year of development usually runs in for polish and adding little bits and pieces that they realise they need to put something in to make it make sense, so they have to adjust things, and it might mean they have to go back and do something else that they would have previously done earlier into development. So I understand, like, for the continuity of the game and how they do it, the polish may be affected, and crunch is affected in the sense they probably can't say you need to work this many long hours per day to hit into this crunch time period, because if they're hitting that crunch all the time, their immune system will be lowered in the sense, like, they won't be healthy. So they want these people to stay safe and stay healthy and be able to continue working. So I understand that side of it, but I also think it's I think they're using it too frivolously, and I know that's hard to say because so many devs are dramatically affected based on the fact that some teams work in all over the world, and some countries are worse than others around being able to get access to certain things. I
kind of agree with you on that. The only thing is that they've given a specific date. We've delayed the game until September 14th, 2021.
Yeah.
So it's such a specific date. You're just thinking, if it really was a COVID pandemic issue, could you really give it a specific day that the game would be ready by?
What do you think the conversation would be if they said it's delayed and didn't give a date? I think that would be a different conversation, and we would be reading into it in a very different way, because if you look over the last few years, how many times have PlayStation actually given dates for games?
Yeah, they don't,
They have been so vague about details, and I think they're realising, like, they gave it a date before, a general time frame of when it was being released, so I think they're trying to hit a hard line and go, this is the date we want, and we want to kind of give that concrete information to our fans, to the people who are going to buy this game day one, that the intention is to have it out this year, and then if they need to delay it again, it will probably be December. But I think that's kind of like
that's
saying,
my issue on it. If you shouldn't give, if it gets delayed again, then you shouldn't give a day, especially a specific day like the 14th. You shouldn't. They should have just said aiming to release for September. I don't think they should have said aiming to release for December.
Is it quarter 1 or quarter 2 of the financial year? I can never remember. Wait, depends. Financial year in New Zealand is July to June.
Oh, is it? And it's April.
Is that the same in the UK?
No, ends April to April. So, and I think it's the same in America as well, I believe. But actually, where Arcane...
So is that quarter 2 then?
It totally depends on where Arcane's based, though, doesn't it? Where are they English?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But they could have said something like, hey, what time of the year? Arcane Studios, where are they based? I have no idea. They could have said something like spring, or in your case, it would be fall or autumn.
Yeah.
And then you have a lot more leeway.
Yeah, that's something they
those
could have
months
said that.
in
Yeah.
that period. Yeah.
I think that's what they.
But I think.
So, we'll leave it as that.
I think putting a date on it. I think putting a date on it, though, Elite, is actually implying that the game's more ready than it really is.
Yeah.
And I think the reason we're looking at it being delayed is because Horizon Forbidden West is going to be delayed. In my opinion, not a known fact, guys, but I think it is. And the lead and I are both in agreement that we don't really think it's coming out this year. I think God of War's going to be delayed, and I think they're pushing this title out to fill a gap that's not going to be there because those other two games are being pushed out.
See, now that's what I think is more the case. I think over COVID, I think it's probably more 70-30, 70 being that it's more likely they're trying to fill a space than COVID. I reckon there probably is some COVID issues, but I think it's more, they're so specific on a date, they're more trying to fill a space for Sony where there's not.
Yep.
There was most probably going to be Horizon Zero Dawn release, because usually they release games in September. PlayStation, and I reckon it's filling a gap which is no longer there for another game.
They're trying to release the titles more evenly spaced.
Yeah.
Because we've got Ratchet and Clank coming out in May or June or something, and then the next big Sony
Gran
title,
Turismo was delayed.
The Returnal's out this month. The next big game from them would be Deathloop, because their first party studios aren't ready. So what they're filling that with?
Xbox games.
Is third party. Xbox Game Pass, guys. But I also want to talk about, I know, with the Deathloop being delayed, the ridiculousness that is the community that are so blinded by their hatred for one particular company that they have come up with this idea that they think that this delay for Deathloop is Xbox is doing. They think Microsoft is, or Xbox is behind this. I'm like, because they think the reason why is they think that if it gets delayed, that 1 year exclusivity deal is going to be less than 1 year because it's been delayed.
Yeah.
And it means it's going to come out on Xbox sooner.
That is true, probably.
And it's like, no, the exclusivity deal is from the date it gets released. It is exclusive on that platform from the date of release for a year. It doesn't change that fact.
Exactly. If it's in a contract, a year's. If it's in a contract, they're legally obliged to release it 1 year after the PlayStation version if it's in a contract, so you can't go. And Phil has been very clear that they are keeping to the contracts that were already in place before they had this acquisition of Bethesda and the accompanying studios that also under the ZeniMax acquisition. Yeah.
How much more clear can he be other than saying that you will get this game, there will be a 1 year exclusivity deal where 1 year it will not be on this specific set of platforms? How can you suddenly think that because it's being delayed, Microsoft is doing it or Xbox is doing it, and it means that your 1 year exclusivity deal is now like 10 months instead?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
I don't think Phil's that bitter, I don't mean, to be honest. But should we bounce on to the next topic?
I don't think he's that bitter, I'm bitter.
Yeah. Should we bounce on to the next topic? Right, so Days Gone 2 cancelled. So Days Gone 2 has been cancelled by Sony due to focus on risk-free PS5 games. That's what this report said, which sounds kind of right.
What port there, Elite?
Sorry?
Is this the Bloomberg one?
Bloomberg report on Days Gone 2 being delayed. And talking about Uncharted, there was talk on Uncharted being cancelled or something as well. What it just appears is, I don't know what Sony's doing with their studios. They're taking games off certain publishing things, certain developers and studios, and giving them to other studios, and I think that's caused a lot of issues on the Sony side, isn't it, at the moment? Do you want to sort of run into this? I think read more up on this.
Yeah, I'll give you just provide a bit of background to those listening. If they haven't already read the Bloomberg article, and Elite, if you're nice enough, you can chuck it in our description in the video when you upload it, so anyone else can read this information themselves. We're not making it up. There was an article from Bloomberg that came out, and it's going to be a big focus on what we talk about because there's a lot of things to kind of digest in that article for that report. Days Gone 2 was pitched by Ben Studios, which was the studios who made Days Gone 1, and everyone said that this studio, it's their first time making a game like what they did with Days Gone, and they did a really great job for their first time doing that. So give them an opportunity to make it into something better, and give an opportunity for them to do a Days Gone 2 or something else. Because if you look at Uncharted 1, that wasn't the masterpiece that the later Uncharted series turned into, because the developer got more experience, knew what they were doing, fleshed everything out a bit more, and that's what Ben Studio probably would have done with this, because they pitched this game to Sony or PlayStation, and it got turned down. And I'm pretty sure the article, off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember, I think it was turned down by Jim Ryan. Was it Jim Ryan?
Yeah.
Who didn't really... I can't remember who exactly it was.
I've actually got it written here now. Days Gone 2...
Turned it down, yeah.
Shall I read the...
I'll let you read it.
Where was it? The report claims that Sony is now only focusing on its big hits, with a fixation on teams such as Naughty Dog that reliably produce blockbusters. However, it suggested that this is causing problems internally, given that the decision can stifle creativity by not allowing developers to work on smaller projects. So that's basically, they seem to just be taking projects off the smaller teams and then just really focusing on their big hitters like Santa Monica and Naughty Dog, just to produce games, which will be sort of our next topic. But regarding the Last of Us remake and such, which another studio was going to be making, and they took it off them and give it to Naughty Dog. So it's, I don't know what's, so to reiterate what you were saying, I don't know what they're doing in Sony at the moment.
I don't know what they're doing, but so Ben Studios pitched this game and got turned down and was told, can you work on something else?
Yeah.
And from what is now known as Days Gone team, Ben Studios is working on an unknown or untitled new game. So it's a new IP from my understanding, from what I could read into it, which is really good, because right now I don't feel like PlayStation is working on a lot of new IPs. They keep doing remakes, and they keep moving their studios onto other things to do with other titles of other games that other studios are working on already. Like there's talk about
well, as I said,
Naughty Dog now.
They're
working on the next Uncharted, and also doing the Last of Us remake. But Days Gone 2, I was shocked. I thought that they did a great job to begin with, and that they need to put to gamble and take a chance on them doing a second one, to see what they can do. Let them open up, because I think that Sony is being a bit tight with their purse at the moment.
Yeah.
Is that what you're feeling in relation to this?
Yeah, I feel, I don't know if there's something sort of deeper seeded in all this, that Sony are very tight with their money at the moment, and they're holding back stuff, and they're cutting, and they're just reducing their workload. And I just wonder if there's something a bit more deep seated and a bit more sinister about it, or why they're doing this. Especially how Xbox is going at the moment, why they're purchasing everyone and stuff. So I'm just wondering if, I don't know, I don't want to sort of say too much, but I'm just thinking about things like the actual sales and the actual revenue. Is it sort of misleading? Are they not done as well as they've claimed to have done, if you know what I mean? Because it just don't make sense that off the back of the PlayStation success and the money they apparently made, that they're going to PlayStation 5 holding back and not spending their money that they've just made. I don't know what's, it doesn't make sense. They've not just carried on the flow. They've actually, it's almost as if they slammed the brakes on for PlayStation 5 for some reason. But it's odd that we talk about, firstly, about Days Gone, because the last subject was to talk about games that are broken and unplayable. Days Gone was, as you said, was known for having issues and stuff. But, you've got to give these developers a chance, give them a second shot at a game. Sony can't just go, no thanks, we just want to focus on Naughty Dog's games. And,
I think it is a bit concerning, though, when you start reading this article in more details.
Yeah.
Because it talks about, and everyone's been very clear, partly behind, if you look at the history of Xbox to begin with, and considering Bungie as a studio, they felt like they didn't have their creative freedom to make the game the way that they wanted to make it, and there was too much input from the higher ups from Microsoft and Xbox and those sort of things.
Yeah.
And now it's like a flip of a coin. Xbox has been very clear, both Matt Booty and Phil Spencer have said, we've got these studios, we don't want to change these studios, we have faith in what these studios' vision are, it lines up with our vision, we're going to give them creative freedom to make the game that they want to make with the integrity and their creative vision intact. And thinking of it in that environment, Sony or PlayStation itself has been known to do that. They let they are quite a lot more hands off than Xbox used to be, and Xbox is a hell of a lot more hands off than they were in the past. And they were known for taking chances on their developers and kind of allowing them to spend that time to polish the game to what the games are when they get released. That Sony or PlayStation finish where there's not many bugs and there's not many other issues with it, and it's really an amazing game, which is why they have such a huge following and why Sony fans are so big on these exclusive that only PlayStation can do. But now we're hearing different things coming out of it, saying that there is some unrest on the PlayStation side in regards to their developers. I mean, they were told, like Ben Studio was told, hey, we're not really wanting to, that's not a priority for us. Days Gone 2, hey, let's look at maybe doing something along the lines of maybe supporting the Naughty Dog team with a multiplayer game for like a second group, or maybe even helping with Uncharted. And the article refers to the fact that the devs themselves, Ben Studio, were worried that they were just going to be absorbed into Naughty Dog and no longer be their own separate development studio. And then it was taken on from that point where they actually are now doing their own thing. Like I said, it's another IP that's coming out, but they're not doing what Sony or PlayStation was asking them to do. They've stood their ground, and they're not happy being forced into working on being like a second team for Naughty Dog, because that's not what they're there to do. Exactly. They need to. They've shown that they can make a game.
Yeah.
Give them the range to show them that not only can they make a game, but they can make it at the level you would expect a PlayStation exclusive to be at.
And this is why Sony are getting their studios and their devs especially just leaving them alone. Because I'll merge this sort of into our fourth topic, which is the about the Japan studio devs departure at the end of this month. So, you know, this is a sort of per example what's going to happen probably to Ben Studios. You're going to get developers going, yeah, screw this, we're out. And it comes to Xbox.
Last of Us 2?
Well, I was just going to say on the back of this, the Japan studio, about you've got. Let me read it here. Following in the footsteps of a couple of other departures, 2 more members of Sony Japan Studio have confirmed they will be leaving Sony Japan Studio at the end of the month. This is in basically like the Ben Studio, is that they've been told not to focus on these type of games, but to focus on games like Astrobot and stuff like that. And these developers are experienced and good developers, and they don't want to spend their time making Astrobot, basically, or Astro Boy, whatever it's called. So
they've no longer got creative freedom.
Yeah, they've lost creative freedom, so they've gone, they've left. And unfortunately, these developers are not just like, as people are going to say, oh, they're like just cleaners and stuff like that. Those being Bloodborne producer, I won't say his name, Masaki, and video cinematic director Ryo, both of whom confirmed the exits on Twitter overnight. This comes after multiple Gravity Rush and Silent Hill veterans left the team to form. So they've gone off and formed their own studio now, Bokut Game Studio, which was then followed up by the departure of Demon's Souls and Soul Sacrifice producer Taruki a few weeks later. So they've lost their developer guys for Bloodborne, Gravity Rush, Silent Hill, Demon's Souls. They've lost 3 developers on the back of losing ones previously. And they've gone and formed their own studio now. And now, with that said, Xbox now looking at this new studio going, hello, now in the quality, now in that studio going, hello, because they're looking for a Japanese studio anyway. And it won't be surprised if they're now Xbox buy that new studio up now and say, yep, you can carry on, you can have freedom to make whatever you want, off you go. But he said on Twitter, I'm leaving Sony. Yeah, go on, sorry.
There's very in stark contrast of what they were doing for the last 20 years in business, what they've been doing, or what's very publicised and what's been doing, and what the gaming community ourselves, because what we follow in the media and all the stuff there, what we understood was, and what we as Xbox gamers were asking for more of, which is why we salute and are really happy that Xbox is being looked after by someone like Phil Spencer, because he is a gamer, understands what we're after, and has changed that mentality from, hey, we're going to be all up in your business, we've got the money, we're going to tell you what you need to make, which is what Ubisoft was getting in trouble for last year.
Yeah.
And now Sony's doing it. It's so weird to see the shoes on the other foot type thing.
I just want to I'm just going to read what he says here as well.
Weirdest Twilight Zone.
Yeah. These developers actually really sort of involved in loads of PlayStation titles. On Twitter, the guy said, "I'm leaving Sony Interactive Entertainment at the end of this month. I'm going to continue working hard on creating games. Many thanks to everyone. Bye." He's also credited for his work on Tokyo Jungle and Deracine. Meanwhile, another guy has left. Rather than working, I've been playing with PlayStation and videos for the past 14 years. I will continue to play new challenges in the company to bridge between game and video. Thanks. He's going as well. This guy was featured in the credits of Uncharted: Drake's Fortune, The Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima and Days Gone. They're just losing devs left, right and centre at the moment because of, I don't know, because of their bad choices. I don't know if they're being tight,
the article,
not given freedom of just that they've had previously, but you know, I don't know where they're going to go with this.
It's interesting. The article talks about how those devs, who part of Sony, or PlayStation, there was a group of devs who kind of left their studios that they're in and created their own type of studio. It was a visual arts service group type thing. I don't know if that's the official name of it, but what's mentioned in the article. And they were going to work on The Last of Us remake.
Yeah.
And they had started working on it, and when they showed it off, they got told it was too expensive and that they weren't going to put money into what it would do to remake this game, to have it available to play on something like the PS5, for example, to take advantage of next-gen technologies, because there was a lot of work that needed to be done in order to do that. It was going to be expensive. They had to do a lot of new stuff for the game, and it goes into a bit more detail because I'm being quite vague about it at the moment. But then they get told that it's not really something that's viable, and then they get told that that actually, and this is last year, and from, I think, last year and a bit into 2019, they were told that, hey, Naughty Dog needs some help with The Last of Us Part 2 to get finished, so they were tasked on to kind of doing that instead, even though they could have organically, on PlayStation side, organically grown a new studio and had another studio on their hands. And this is what annoys me, is the PlayStation fanboys, and I say fanboys, and I always say fanboys, so the toxic part of that community, they are the ones going, and they were complaining about acquisition after acquisition after acquisition on Xbox's side, and they were talking about how Sony organically grows their studios into what they are now. Well, if they organically grow studios, why are they not supporting another studio that organically was coming together from their own set of studios anyway? And they would have had another studio to combat this whole you need to buy more studios talk that is coming out as part of the community, to combat the fact that Xbox has 23 and Sony has 12. Like, is no one picking up on the stupidity and that is that part of the gaming community in relation to that?
Yeah, I
don't get it.
Well, this takes us nicely onto the next subject, isn't it? The Last of Us 2 remake. They're remaking it. Last of Us 1, I should say. Last of Us 1, they're remaking it because that's
Last of Us 2 needs a rewrite, not a remake.
Well, that's what the world needs right now. I mean, we had Last of Us on the PS3 2 generations ago, and then they remastered it for the PS4, and now they're remaking it for the PS5. The same game every generation. But it's just lazy.
You're right. It is exactly what we need. A game about a pandemic.
Yeah.
With no cure.
Yeah.
while we have a pandemic.
A lot of cynical people are
It's going to
saying,
last more than 2 years,
yeah,
guys.
a lot of cynical people are saying what's behind this is why they're stopping other games and just focusing on The Last of Us is because they've got their TV series coming out and they just really want to push and promote their TV series of The Last of Us. So that's why they're going to do a remake, because they want the TV series to succeed, which is terrible really, because they should really be focusing on their games rather than TV series. But then again, this is Sony, and movies was their sort of their first bread and butter. So it looks like
TV series argument is ridiculously stupid. I don't think they should be doing a Last of Us 2 or Last of Us remake. If you look at The Witcher, it came out as books first, right? And then CD Projekt Red got the rights to make a game.
Yeah.
And then you got Witcher 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And everyone loved Witcher 3 so much they wanted another one. However, the next IP that the studio was working on was Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We now know that they're starting development on the next Witcher game. But over that whole period of those years, we haven't had anything Witcher related other than some DLC and just going back and replaying the games, that it's building hype because people want more of that.
Yeah.
So they filled in a gap and we got the Witcher TV series, which has got nothing to do with CD Projekt Red, but it did have a flow-on effect to sell more of that title.
Yeah.
If you're just continuously bombarding and saturating the market with the game non-stop, people are going to get fatigued by it. Let it sit for a while, let people get excited for it, put the TV show out, and then go, hey, you loved the TV show, the original game was a bit old, but now we've got this remaster coming out, and it'll get you right back into the action, so you get to enjoy it.
It's not
on
remaster, it's a
next
remake.
gen material. Like,
Yeah.
why would you be trying to build this around the time frame for this game? I mean, the show coming out.
The only thing is,
allow people to get hyped for it.
which is what people were put off by, is that the TV series wasn't going to follow the same story as the Last of Us game. It was going to they was going to do sort of their own thing with it. So I'm just wondering now if the new game, The Last of Us, if they are going to remake it to match the TV series storyline.
I don't think so. I think you'd get blood in the streets.
Oh, there's already blood in the streets because there's loads of people.
It's of a part of your community.
I mean, what a waste of money. Imagine pulling studios off games to make another blood. Why do you need another? I mean, they've already talked about doing another Uncharted, and now another. This is milk. This is Sony milk at its finest, really. And on this site, on this push square, they've done a poll. Would you buy a PS5 remake of The Last of Us? And out of 3,000 votes, we've got 27% said they would buy it again. 26%.
What were the other options?
26% said it depends if they improve it. 38% said no, and 9% said I'm not interested in Last of Us. But you've got two votes there, 27% and 26% for yes, I would buy it, and if it improves it, I would buy it. So that's like 50% of the vote there that people said they would buy it again. And I just don't. I'm just dumbfounded that people. We've had the game, we've had a remaster, and then a remake, and they'd buy it again for £70, the same game. What if it's not the same? What if it's the same story? You're playing the same story again for a third time. Does it need it? Would you pay £70? I just don't get it. It's just weird, and I think that's sometimes where their fan base can just be a bit blinded. I mean,
I don't know if it's $70. I don't know if it would be released for $70. Like, I think there's part of the community that if you are wanting to get into PlayStation for the first time, and I know you and I have discussed that we're going to wait on getting our PS5s until the next lot of SKUs come out, so they're a bit more
and some
stable
games come out for it.
and better, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But there is a part of our community, and I say any part of our gaming community because it's not just PC, it's not just console, but it is mobile and then those sort of things. There is part of them who have never played that game and who don't have a PS4 or maybe don't want to get a PS4 because why get a PS4? It'll eventually be discontinued and then the store will get closed and then why not get a flashy PS5 version? They could play it backwards compatible on the PS5 if they wanted. However, because you got a PS5 and you want to really see what it can do and open it up a bit, why not wait and enjoy the experience on the PS5? There are those people, all the people who loved it, disappointed by number 2, some of them were, some people loved number 2, but there are other people who want to play it anyway and play it again, but see what the PS5 is capable of.
Yeah.
But then there are other people who are saying, no, why would you buy it again?
Yeah, well, you know what there's 2 things here. One, it slaps the people in the face that say, I don't buy a next-gen console to play old games, when they're quite willing to play... Jim Ryan and a lot of the fan base. You don't buy next-gen console to play old games, yet you keep remastering and then remaking remasters. So you're just repackaging old games and then just trying to pass them off as new games, but they're not. They're just old games. Look at Demon Souls. There was Demon Souls release, then that had a remaster, then that had a remake of the same game. So you had 3 copies of the same game, but they sort of tried to run down Xbox.
Makes and remasters.
Yeah.
Does that mean PlayStation is the place where new IPs get started?
New IPs?
Yeah, you know how everyone's saying Xbox has no IPs and they milk everything?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, this is extreme milk. But, what was the other point I was going to make? Yeah, another thing I've just spotted on this is quite interesting. On this, I'm just reading, so while I was reading through the Bloomberg thing, they've also with these important details excluded, presumably the platform holder would have preferred to reveal this in its own time. We're missing one major piece of the puzzle here, and this is where Bloomberg goes into. Our assumption has always been that PlayStation plans to resell The Last of Us Part 2 on PS5, as evidenced by the lack of updates for the title since launch. He says, while we've had various Ghost of Tsushima and even Days Gone updates for PS5, including patches to make it run at 60 frames per second and all sorts, there's been no patches for The Last of Us Part 2 since its launch. And they think they might be repackaging that for the PS5 as well. So, it does sound right.
Something you and I discussed last year. We had this funny feeling, and I don't know if we did it on a podcast or just over Xbox Live or a mixer with Legal, but we were discussing the thoughts that this game is going to be remastered, or they're going to take advantage of the PS5 in some way and do updates for it. Like they have been doing with Ghost of Tsushima, and some of the other titles. Even Ratchet and Clank, was it from 2016? Has had a 60 FPS mode put into it. I don't know. This just seems interesting. I think it's 100% true that they have purposely left it on the table, because I think Naughty Dog is working on the PS5 version for it.
Yeah.
And if Naughty Dog is also working on the Last of Us remake, because it's no longer with that other company, that other studio that doesn't exist anymore, or wasn't really an official studio, but it's going to be interesting, because they're now working on 2 titles.
And this just shows more of the benefit of getting Xbox, because on Xbox, if these games on Xbox, firstly it's got backwards compatibility anyway, then it's got smart delivery, so all your games would automatically be updated to the next gen versions. Whereas Sony can't. Yeah, Sony can't. Sony's not doing that. Instead, they're just releasing £70 remasters and remakes of the same games, and it's just lazy and greedy and ridiculous. Personally, I'm thinking, do you think that? Do you think it's greedy of Sony just to do that, rather than just giving them just free?
I wouldn't say greedy. I think from my point of view, in the sense of like my wallet, then yes. As a consumer, I feel like, and they are companies, they are out to make a profit and make money and blah 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 blah, but they're also trying to provide an experience to us. So I think from a consumer point of view, definitely very greedy. From their point of view, just economical to them. They don't care about us. It's the bottom line that they're trying to hit. And that's why you can see, reading this article, they're talking about cutting corners in this, I wouldn't say corners, but like slimming things down in the sense of their focus. So they're no longer like, play has no limits. Play definitely has limits, and it's called their checkbook.
Yeah.
And they don't have this big checkbook behind them that Xbox has with Microsoft. So they can't go out and do everything that Microsoft is doing.
Yeah.
Because they can't afford to. So they're having to cut their losses and focus on things that are already financial successes. And that means that there are titles that may start off smaller and later on become financial successes that may get completely missed, and it might mean that those devs want to go somewhere else and work on that title in their own time and maybe become an independent developer. Who knows? But that's what it could happen. Like, that's what could definitely happen. I mean, Sony's been closing studios, and it's always a big topic when Xbox does it, but when Sony does it, it's really hush-hush, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I said that all recently, yeah. The media's nowhere jumping on PlayStation like they did with Xbox One at launch. With all the DRM and the cancelling of studios, which they exaggerated. There wasn't really that many studios or games cancelled at all on Xbox. There's actually more on PlayStation, but as always, the media was hush about it. And they're doing it again. They're just a bit quiet about Sony cancelling games and closing studios. They're just a bit quiet about it. There's not that same energy for PlayStation.
Sony blacklists them?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, blacklist them, ban them. So media's too scared to report. They blocked any negative reviews on The Last of Us 2 when that came out, wasn't it? They was actually blocking people from giving negative reviews. They was only promoting positive views, which is ridiculous. How bad's that?
Freedom of speech, guys.
Yeah, there we go.
You're free to make your own informed opinion. This is our opinion. You do not have to listen to it if you don't want to. But that is the same for media. They should be free to make their opinion unbiased, and that's not always the case, or without threat of losing out on some incentives that they currently have or access that they have for their jobs.
Yeah, because as it stands, Sony seems to support bias towards their towards their games, which is sort of we.
I mean, this article that we're reading about anyway, that we've been reading over and talking about throughout this whole episode, is just really talking about how Sony is moving away, or PlayStation specifically, is moving away from those indie type smaller games and really focusing on those key studios that make those one and done blockbuster hits that they are known for. I think a couple of years ago, and I don't remember if it was Sean Layden or Jim Ryan, around that transition period, they were talking about how moving into next gen, that they were going to be making those big titles always, that they weren't really focusing on the indie games or the smaller titles. And it's evident here, and people were just like, oh no, that'll never happen. But we were hearing about this 2 years ago, and now it is really coming to the forefront. The writing is on the wall. No one listened to it then. Now it's right in your face. You can't ignore it any longer. This is a trend that has been happening, and it has been happening behind the scenes for the most part because the media has not been talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. And the fans won't do anything either, won't retaliate, won't say, hey, Sony, stop that, because they're just too, I don't know, gullible and blind.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's so much, there is actually more. We'll get off Sony now, PlayStation. We'll finish on our last topic, which is the events. But I mean, there's so much negative Sony news at the moment. I mean, we didn't touch on the PS Now Avengers being put in PS Now. Oh yeah, we didn't touch on Blood.
Oh yes, we should definitely talk about that.
Yeah, okay. Go on, you're on. Oh no, I did mention Bloodborne being cancelled. Bloodborne 2 being cancelled because all the devs left. But yeah, go on. Let's go on quickly onto the Avengers then.
Yeah, this wasn't in our list of topics, but thank you for reminding
us.
The
gift that's not really a gift. Yeah, so the gift is not really. So in retaliation to MLB The Show going to Game Pass, Sony said, "I'll tell you what, we're going to reward our fans with the Avengers in PS Now." The only thing is, they only give you the PS4 version of the Avengers into PS Now. They didn't give the PS5 because they haven't got smart delivery. If you want the PS5 version in PS Now, you have to pay for it. So they only give the PS4 version. So all these people with PS5s thinking, yeah, Avengers in Game Pass, none of them can play it. Or they're only going to play the PS4 version of it. That's my understanding, that's right, isn't it?
It's just the Avengers. There was one other game, and I'm trying to remember what other game it was.
Borderlands 3. They've done it to Borderlands 3 and all.
Yeah.
They've given the PS4 version of
so basically,
Borderlands 3.
If you haven't been up to date with what's going on, is obviously we've had some great great news on the Game Pass side of things, where we've had MLB The Show, Day and Date, coming this month. Then we've got, Day One.
Yeah.
Then we've got, we've already had Outriders
Yeah.
released Day One onto Game Pass, and then a couple of days later we get the PS Now games that are coming to PS Now for the month, and one of them is the Avengers. And I actually tweeted it on, and I posted on Twitter saying that's really good, a good month for PlayStation, not realizing that the issue is they've only given you the PS4 version, and it's even worse than that, Elite. It is even worse than that, because even if you want to get access, because these Avengers offered a free upgrade to the PS5 version, right?
Yeah.
So did some other studios. They've offered free upgrades. If you bought it on the PS4, you get it on the PS5 free. You can't do that if you choose to get the PS4 version through the PS Now as a free game.
Yeah.
You do not get access to the PS5 version, which is free if you bought it on the PS4, right? This is how stupid it is. In order for you to get the PS5 version, you would have to buy it.
Sony are literally blocking you getting the free upgrade. Basically, aren't they?
Blocking you.
Yeah, from getting a free upgrade.
Why would you choose to get the game free if you subscribe to PS Now and you have a PS5? Why would you choose to get that when you still have to pay for the upgrade anyway?
It's like they want PS Now to fail. Yeah.
Just buy the PS4. Just outright buy the PS4 version yourself.
Yeah.
Forgo the subscription because it's not that expensive anyway. And then get the free upgrade to the PS5 version.
There is no point getting it on PS Now. There's zero point to get it on PS Now. Yeah. If you own a PS5, there is no point buying the PS Now version at all.
I think this is a joke at this point, and
joke.
I don't understand why more people aren't talking about how much of a joke it is that this is what they've done on the PS Now store.
Yeah.
What is your thoughts? I keep talking, and I need to let you talk some more.
No, well, I've said that's my fault in it. It's just ridiculous. You can hear me, can't you? Yeah.
I can definitely hear you.
Oh, cool.
But I do a lot of talking, guys.
No, that is my fault in it, basically. I think it's just, once again, it's just daylight robbery. It's just Sony trying to milk and take money off their fan base.
If Xbox wants to do this...
Because play has no limits.
Apparently does.
Again, they need to change that. They need to change their slogan from play has limits, because all we're getting at the moment is limitations for the PlayStation 5, and it's just yet another one. It's just greedy, because it doesn't have smart delivery at the end of the day. That's why you got every game that goes on Game Pass. It's just give an example. Every game on Game Pass, regardless of its generation, will automatically be upgraded to the better version if you own that console. If you own an Xbox Series X and you bought a PlayStation, a 360 game, it will be upgraded to the Xbox Series X version if it's been patched to that version. It automatically free upgrade. There you go. No extra charge and nothing. PlayStation, no. You have to pay for the upgrade. Even if it's free, if you bought the game normally, you have to pay for the upgrade on PS Now. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely...
Well, I think it's funny. I think it's hilarious. Like, PS4 was... slogan was for the players, and they really showed that. They definitely did. Xbox's, I don't even remember what Xbox's was for last gen. Their current one is Power Your Dreams, and they're doing that. And I mean, the other PS4 one was best place to play, and that was 100% true until the One X came out. Now PS5's official logo, and we keep commenting on it, is play has no limits. You keep running into limitations. When are you gonna get the expansion slot for your SSD?
Yeah, I think that's the problem.
When's that coming?
You know, there's a problem at Sony when they keep changing their slogans, because before that it was, do you remember waiting on greatness or something like that, wasn't it? Greatness Awaits or something like that. It was that before. And then that's when
Greatness Awaits, yeah.
Greatness Awaits or something. It was that before. And they changed it to the figgy one.
That was PS3, yeah.
Was it? They just keep changing their slogans, and you just got to wonder why. Because they don't follow them through. That's why.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if Xbox was to turn around and do exactly what PlayStation has done, with the generation rubbish and the giving free games. And the interesting thing is, games with gold. I know it's not longer Xbox Live, but games with gold.
Yeah.
You get that game if that game has takes advantage of the backwards compatibility program. That is what Xbox has been doing. If I play it on the Series X, I will get auto HDR if it's enabled, FPS boost if that game is enabled. I also get the 16 times anisotropic filtering, and most likely upscaled as well. Like, I get advantages, and then there's things like if it's got an unlocked frame rate, it takes advantage of that.
Yeah.
And I don't have to pay anything. And I don't get stuck with the version that I got unless there have been no updates available to as part of the backwards compatible program. Or if the devs have made changes, then I get access to that as well, because the game moves with me and it works. Smart delivery works. Everything about what Xbox has been talking about, moving in, we believe in generations. Yes, they do believe in generations.
Yeah.
They also believe in the fact that your games move with you.
Yeah.
Evident. PlayStation believes in generations. Not only do they believe in generations, PS Now also believes in generations, guys, because if that game is on the PlayStation 4, you gotta pay for its upgrade if there's an upgrade available. Yeah. That's how much they believe in generations.
And they closed the PS3 store.
It is ridiculous. I would be so pissed off if Xbox did this to me.
Yeah, and so would the media, and so would the PS fans, and all. That's what I mean. There's just nowhere near the. I mean, remember when the Xbox Gold went up in price? All the media and the fans jumped on that, and it was all hate. But Sony continues to weekly gives the equivalent or worse news, and there's no backlash at all on it. No backlash that they're openly just robbing their players. As I said, I've always said,
yeah,
PlayStation, it's for the payers. Basically.
It's for the payers.
See what I did there?
Oh, you starting that hashtag? Yep.
Yeah, it's for the payers.
For the payers.
Because they've
Is that going to be the name of our...
Because they took the L out and kept it for
Gamers
themselves.
Initiative podcast, episode 10.
Yeah.
PlayStation is for the payers.
Yeah. Because they've all kept the L's for themselves. Right, should we... Is that... Cause we're almost at an hour now.
The last thing we wanted to talk about was, I guess, and just a positive Xbox note, there are two announced, not given official dates or anything, but they are announced that there will be two Xbox events coming up in the near future. I can't remember if there's going to be 2 in 1 month or anything like that, but they are up and coming, so there's something to be hyped and positive about, in the sense of there's more gaming news coming. Like I said, there was last week, we had the ID at Xbox, and even you said, Elite, that there'll be more games coming in. It's going to be more on the bigger AA, bigger hit type games that will be available. Is there anything you're expecting to see, or anything you're excited about, or what do you think these two events could be?
I think one of them's probably going to be one of them is going to be a Bethesda event, isn't it? One is going to be mainly Bethesda just chatting about, I think, their projects, and then I think the next event will be probably Xbox. But then they got E3 as well, so I don't know if that includes E3, the two events.
Yeah.
Does the second one include E3?
I don't think it does.
All right. So
I think they were always intended to have these two things, and I think just attending E3 is just icing on the top for us.
Yeah.
Because it's another opportunity for them to provide us with more information. Because I think there's a lot more games coming out this year.
Yeah.
For Xbox than we realise.
I think there is as well, and I think there's going to be some more stuff going to Game Pass. They said there's a big, massive game going to Game Pass, which is third party, which is yet to be announced, and a big AAA acquisition. So, sorry.
Starfield, guys.
Oh,
no,
Starfield.
No idea. I'm just going to keep saying Starfield.
Or it could be, with all the news, all the news come around now, it could be something like Death Stranding, or something like that coming to Game Pass.
Are you talking about the whole Kojima thing?
Yeah, it could be something like Death Stranding coming to Game Pass, which would be funny. Wouldn't that be funny?
All I want, and you know exactly all I want news on Hellblade 2.
Yeah.
I want news on Fable.
Yeah. I don't think we'll get that until E3. I don't think we'll get gameplay until E3. I think the majority of the gameplay for the big games, they will drop at E3. But I think these shows will more just outline what games they've got coming. So just remind everyone what games there are, because people are forgetting. So I think the first show will probably be Bethesda, sort of welcome on board to Xbox, and then they will mention Starfield and their games they got focused on Avowed, Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6, and then Xbox they might just reiterate on the games they've got coming out, because there's still quite a lot of games coming out in this year. And then I think E3, that's when we'll see the heavy gameplay for all those games. I reckon we will definitely see gameplay for all the games in E3, which Sony are not attending.
We're definitely going to see some games that are on the UE5 engine, because when we saw the stuff that came out last year, they were talking about that some devs are utilizing UE5.
Yeah.
Like there are very select ones that were using it, but they said it was officially becoming available to devs at the beginning of this year. So I think we're most likely going to see some games that are running on UE5 and will take more advantage of what is available on the Xbox systems, whether that's the Series S or the Series X. And I'm hoping, like Hal, and this is why I keep mentioning it, is I really just want to see Hellblade 2, guys. Yeah. I want more than just that trailer that we saw, so we can actually give a definitive answer, because people are like, that game looks so good, but then the other side of the community is like, but that was just an injured game built to take full advantage of the Series X, but we don't know if that is just PC building and then trying to get it to the specifications of the Series X. I want to see something that takes advantage of velocity architecture.
I hope the game's co-op as well. I like
SSD rubbish out the door.
Which is what happened to SSD? Remember all the talk about SSD? It's just faded away, isn't it? Which we knew it would.
Oh yeah.
Well, no one talks about SSD anymore. Or its advantages.
No.
Or anything. No. Because there wasn't really a big advantage. Like was predicted. It gives about an extra second, the PlayStation 5, extra seconds load times. There was no real advantage to it whatsoever.
I'm hoping that we get to see. I want to see what Compulsion Games is working on. I want to know what they're working on. They've been very quiet since they got acquired.
In Exile as well. In Exile will be good. Because they usually produce big RPGs, so with their big.
What else haven't we seen from? Because we know what Obsidian's other title is that they're working on, which is Avowed.
Yeah.
But,
Who else
from the acquisition haven't we seen?
I can't remember. There's so many studios now.
We know that, what's the name?
Initiative are doing Perfect Dark.
Doing the Psychonauts 2, but they're apparently working on another game as well, so I wonder what their new game is going to be.
Psychonauts is going to be
once they release Psychonauts 2. That's probably going to be finally confirmed. Isn't that meant to be releasing this year?
I believe it was delayed. But this year, it will be released this year, but it was delayed, I know that,
Yeah, it was delayed. I think we might see something from them.
Yeah.
Because now they're a first-party studio.
Yeah. That's going to be multiplayer, because that was multiplayer before the acquisition, wasn't it? Yeah.
I also really want to see something from Turn 10 Studios, because I know that what we saw was just a trailer.
Oh yeah.
And we know that they're working heavily to take advantage of the Series X and using ray tracing and such. So I want to see something from them, just because we didn't really get much from them, and because I know we saw a bit more when you look at the Gran Turismo stuff, and that's been delayed to 2022 on the PlayStation side. But I want to see Xbox's equivalent of that, because we didn't get like something that was really like, hey, this is gameplay in it, and I want to see something so we can get a feel for what they have done to take it to the next level for next gen, because I reckon that game's probably going to come out next year, possibly.
Do you know what?
And I don't know when the next Horizon's coming out, but we might hear something about that.
Yeah, I've heard Gran Turismo's been delayed. Now get this for an idea. Imagine this, right? The next Gran Turismo apparently is going to be like an open world arcade racer. How about that for an idea?
So, Forza Horizon?
Yeah, they basically copied Forza Horizon. The success of Forza Horizon.
It's delayed till 2022 because it was meant to be coming out this year.
Yeah.
It's been delayed to next year.
Yeah. So,
maybe it was a bit more ambitious than I thought it was.
Yeah, and I've heard it's going to be an open world racer. Arcade. Like Forza Horizons. They basically thought, actually, Forza Horizons are far better than the standard sort of racing games, aren't they? Because they are. And I think let's just go down that. Let's just copy Forza Horizon there, right? I've obviously thought.
My favourite Forza Horizon, and no offence, it's not number 4, guys. Number 4 is amazing. My favourite is still number 2 when you're in Europe.
Yeah.
That is still my favourite, hands down.
Should we close off now? We've gone for
I don't really think there's much more. We're just speculating on the other shows of what we would really like to be there. We don't know when they're going to be, if they're going to be in the same month. But kudos to Xbox going to be at E3.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Showing
You don't need E3 apparently. Apparently you can do it all digitally and online on YouTube and stuff now. And how well did that go down? How popular was that for Sony doing? How popular would a state of plays? Don't need E3 when you got state of play.
As a company, as Xbox and PlayStation, if you look at that, yes, they don't need E3. That's not the point.
No.
Who needs E3? Who's going to be buying their products? The consumer needs E3.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's
Everyone.
who needs it.
I said it was a big mistake them leaving it, and it showed it was, and it'd be good to go back to it.
Yeah.
Get it back. We need.
Well, they didn't have anything to show anyway, so
no one's been hyped about any digital shows at all. Everyone gets hyped about E3, but no one gets hyped about ID Xbox or State of Play. No one gets hyped about the digital shows. You just watch them as you leisure. You don't watch them live, do you? You can just watch them whenever. Whereas E3, you want to watch live. You watch those shows live and watch the announcements live, and it's just amazing. But that's me personally. But anyway, yeah, should we
close it up?
Yeah, close it up now. Oh, did you watch my last video? I've done another dark Batman.
I haven't yet.
Dub thing, because I know you like the darkness of those.
But it is on my list to watch,
Okay.
and plugging his next
Fraud.
video. If you want a bit of humour and him poking some fun at some of the silly things that are happening in the gaming community, feel free to watch it. It's a good laugh if you're a bit into the dark, sarcastic type humour that everyone should love and enjoy. But yeah, I just want to say thanks to everyone if you've stayed this long, amazing. And if you have stayed this long, can you please put something in the comment section along the lines of
You're a fraud because you haven't released. Yeah, because you've not released a video.
Red Dead Panda's the fraud.
Yeah. She said last week's show she was going to do another video, start releasing some videos, and she's not, so she's a fraud.
I'm a fraud, guys. No, I probably won't be tonight now because it's a bit late, but it'll definitely be tomorrow. So I'm a fraud.
Yeah.
But yeah, put that in there. Elite, thank you so much for having me on every week.
Right. Yeah,
I love it.
Thank you.
Enjoy doing this with you, and to everyone who say something in the comment section. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Hit the like button. It helps us a lot.
Share, throw this out.
It feels weird asking you to do that.
Yeah. Twitter it out. Like and share, sub, and comment. Right. Thank you all for watching.
Thank you so much.
And goodbye for now.
Bye.